Hi, time from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book to read for you. Today, book is Snow White House the Seven Dwarfs for 1980. So let's get started. Snow White was a beautiful princess. She lived with her prince in a castle high on a mountain. She was very happy. She spent her days picking flowers, feeding her pet swan, and singing with the birds. But one morning, Snow White felt sad. She thought of the times when she had lived with her friends, the seven dwarfs. Suddenly she missed them very much. Snow White went to her husband, the prince. "My dear," she said, "I would like to visit my friend the dwarfs." "That's a good idea," said the prince. "I will come and get you tonight." So Snow White packed a basket of food and headed for the woods. She knew the dwarfs would be working in the mines. She would surprise them when they came home for dinner. Snow White walked all morning. She walked up and down hills. Once she stopped for a drink of water. At noon, Snow White arrived at the cottage of the seven dwarfs. She opened the door and walked in. What a mess! The dwarfs were never very neat. Snow White said to herself, "I'll start cleaning right away." Snow White cleaned the whole cottage. Her animal friend helped her. She scrubbed the floor, made the beds, and washed the dishes. Finally, Snow White sat down. Then she fixed the dwarf's socks, and she waited for them to come home. She thought her friends would be there soon. Suddenly, the sky got very dark. It began to rain. Snow White saw lightning and heard thunder rumbling in the distance. The dwarfs were not home yet, and she was worried. The seven dwarfs heard the thunder too. "We better go home right away," said Doc. The other dwarfs agreed. They packed up their tools. Doc and Grumpy stepped out of the mine first. Just then, a bolt of lightning struck down a big tree nearby. Crash! The tree blocked the entrance to the mine. Doc and Grumpy was not hurt, but the other five dwarfs were trapped in the mine. "Hmm," said Grumpy. "This will make us late for dinner." "Well, dinner must wait. We will have to get them out first," said Doc. First they got First they all tried to move the tree, but they were not strong enough. Then Doc and Grumpy tried to chop it with their picks and shovels. That didn't work either. "We'll have to go home and get better tools," Doc shouted to the others. "Don't worry, we'll be back soon." Doc and Grumpy started on the long walk back to the cottage. The storm was getting worse and worse. "Hum," said Grumpy. "Why did this have to happen?" "Don't worry," said Doc. "It won't take us long to get them out." They finally reached the cottage. A light was on inside. "Oh dear," said Doc. "Who could be there?" Quiet, they peeked in the window. "Why, Snow White," Doc said happily. "Yes," said Grumpy, "but of all days." Doc and Grumpy ran through the door. "Snow White, it's so good you are here," said Doc. Something terrible had happened to the other dwarfs, are trapped in the mine, and we have to get them out, said Grumpy. Don't worry, Snow White said. Get the tools you will need. I will make some hot cocoa and sandwiches to bring along, she said. You must all be very hungry. Yes, said Doc, but the other thing that mattered right now is getting the others out. Soon the three headed back to the mines. It was still raining, and it was very dark. They was all worrying how the other dwarfs were doing. When they reached the mine, the rain had stopped. Doc showed Snow White the entrance. It was still blocked by the big tree. First, Doc and Grumpy tried to push the tree. Then they tried to pull it with a rope, but the tree would not move. Grumpy kicked it angrily. They did not know what to do next. Then they saw the prince on the horse. They called out to him. The prince was happy to see his wife. Snow White told him how the big tree fell and trapped the five dwarfs in the mine. Snow White also told the prince how Doc and Grumpy had tried to move the tree. Don't worry, said the prince. I will help you. He went to his horse and took a rope out of his saddle. The prince tied one end of the rope to his horse and the other to the tree. Then he told the horse to pull. Soon the horse pulled the tree away from the mine. The dwarf was free. Everyone was so happy. The prince took Snow White in his arms, and the dwarfs danced around him. But Grumpy remembered the basket Snow White had brought along. It was very past dinner time, he said, and we just danced around. Where's your basket, Snow White? I bought something too, said the prince. Let's have a party. So they all sat down and had a wonderful picnic in the grass. The hot cocoa, sandwiches, and fruit tasted so good. Hooray for Snow White and the prince, shouted the seven dwarfs. When they finished eating, the prince said to Snow White, It's getting late. We should return to the castle now, or someone will worry. The seven dwarfs took off their hats and waved goodbye. Thank you, they called. Come back soon. We will, said Snow White. So that was Snow White Helps the Seven Dwarfs for 1980. So if you like, subscribe, share, and comment, and have a groovy day with another video coming out real soon.